Leonard and Sidney here, in for Pat Seranian today. My wife, Sidney, she's an author. She's written a book called The 12-Week Challenge. That was several years ago. And she's working on a material that's called the 12-Month Challenge. And so we have a few things to talk about here. We hope it'll be interesting while we're here for the next half hour. So, Sidney, take it away.
Oh, thank you. Well, part of what I wanted to talk about today are some keys to success. The 12-week challenge deals with 6 areas of life in priority order. And as we live these areas and values, things just fall into place. But the 6 areas are spiritual strength.
For number 1.
Yep. Health, mental and physical.
2.
Family.
Number 3.
Or relationships.
I just have to say something here, so that's why I'm inserting the numbers.
Okay.
She doesn't have numbers on hers.
No.
She has the colors of the rainbow in hers.
Actually, yes, they're tied to the colors of the rainbow. So red is spiritual strength, orange is health, mental and physical, yellow is family, green is purpose. That's so important in our lives.
So that would be number 6, I say.
No, that's not number 6.
Oh, we haven't got
4.
number 6 yet. Okay.
5. Purpose is green, 5.
Okay.
And blue, you're right, it's 4. Blue is temporal stewardship, and purple is giving back. Now, there's a reason why they're in that order, and it's really important to help us lay a foundation for our success.
So let's hear the reason.
Okay. Well, the most important thing we need to do each day is to take care of ourselves spiritually. As once we do that, as we need to nurture ourselves and come to know our true identity. And for me, that's meaning a daughter of God. And as you do that, that creates a solid foundation in your life to work from. And once we have nourished ourselves spiritually, it's important to nourish ourselves physically and emotionally. And how we do that, of course, is by eating good foods and exercising to take care of our physical strength. And we'll talk about that more later. Because
yeah, she takes care of me.
Yeah. There's some really important things that I've learned that affect us emotionally and physically that have to do with our diet. And then once we're nourished spiritually and physically, we're more prepared to nurture others, and that way we avoid burning ourselves out. So next is our family, and we take care of them and teach them their true identity as well. So after our families are cared for and we know they're secure, we go into our purpose. And purpose is so important. It's the thing that kind of gets us out of bed in the morning. And while we have young families, often that could be our purpose. But even more, every children go to school, they take naps, and in between, it's time to work on our individual gifts and talents so that when they leave the nest, we're prepared to serve to our best ability. And we are prepared. The Lord prepares us in many ways. I mean, He'll put people in our lives. He gives us trials. He gives us experiences. We become passionate about different things because of different circumstances in our lives. And there's reasons for this. And that's why it's important to continually develop our gifts and talents so that we're prepared to serve.
Life is exciting.
Yes. And once we have these things in order, once we have we've worked on our purpose, sometimes that evolves into a career. Not always, but sometimes. And if it does, we want to be good stewards of our finances. We want to be prepared so that we can be self-reliant and so that we can bless the lives of others with our material possessions and goods.
Yes.
And once we have those 5 areas in order, we have so much more to give. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Being prepared to be able to give and share our gifts and talents with our fellow men. So the question comes, how do you bring these things into your life? Well, that's actually what my 12-week challenge is about. And we bring these
things... Which is being developed in the 12-month challenge now,
yes.
So there's more time.
So how do we bring these things into our life? Well, this has kind of been a quest of mine through my adult life to understand and how to make permanent and lasting change in our behavior. Well, one of the best ways to do this is what we teach is to take the first three areas, the red and the orange and the yellow, and which is spiritual strength, health, and family, and do something in each of those areas each day. And if that sounds like it's overwhelming or too challenging, then we need to do the red area first and always, even if nothing else gets done. We used to tell our children that the most important thing they had to do each day was study their scriptures. So even if they should do it before they got out of their pajamas so that they'd know that they had the most important thing done that day. And that builds our solid foundation we talked about before. And then, of course, we want to make sure that our health is taken care of, because if you don't have your health, what have you got? You know, it's just your ability to do and to act depends on your health, mentally and physically. So physically, of course, we want to take good care of ourselves, and as I mentioned, we'll talk about that some more. And mentally, we want to take good care of ourselves. I think so often, so many of us don't realize that we really do have control in our lives as far as our mental well-being. And one of the most powerful things we can do each day is remember what we're grateful for and start off the day with a gratitude list. And also I would include in there things that we love, not just people, but things. So often we think we're being selfish or materialistic if we think about things that we love, but don't you love a clear blue sky? Don't you love that favorite vase that your child gave you? Don't you love? And pondering on the things that we're grateful for and the things that we love make an enormous difference in our mental outlook and our ability to perform and function and solve our problems each day.
I might insert there, I just love being here with the mountains above us. It's just a beautiful feeling. I had one customer once who said that once they moved here, the mountains were overburdening to them. It was too much for them. They were from Kansas or something like that, from flatlands. But to me, the mountains are just glorious above us. It just makes you feel good to have those guarding influences of the mountains, the solid mountains above us.
That's so
I'm
true.
Grateful for that. I'm grateful for life.
Yes, there is so much to be grateful for in all circumstances. And that's the beginning of strengthening ourselves and creating that permanent and lasting change. But something else we discovered a couple of years ago, it was so interesting. I read a book called The Sugar Addict's Total Recovery Program. And years ago, I was diagnosed as chronically depressed. And it was a very serious situation. It was nothing to be toyed with. And it had been for many, many years, maybe 20 years, that I had struggled with this depression. And I finally made a decision that I was done. I couldn't do this to my family any longer or to myself. And so I worked very hard I'd been through hours of therapy and been hospitalized. And so I decided to take the things that I felt were very most valuable that I'd learned in those hours of therapy and went on a personal quest. I also studied everything I could get my hands on.
She has read literally thousands of books.
That's true. I've kind of been a personal improvement junkie all my adult life.
Been to many seminars.
Yes. And I was able to focus in on the things that really worked and really helped and bring those into my life, and I kind of manually overcame that depression. But even so, up until a couple of years ago, I recognized that I was still struggling, that I was still battling something. I mean, I would get up every day and say I was no longer in the serious part of depression, but I was still battling negativity and feelings like guilt and irritability and, just awful. And I would get up every day and say, okay, today is going to be different. I'm going to do better. I'm going to think positive.
Affirmation statements and all those kind of things.
Yes. And each day about 11 o'clock, it would all fall apart. And I thought, I just struggled so badly. Until I read...
So we're going to get the answer now.
a book, even though I was doing much better, and I learned a whole lot along the way. I learned, when I read the book, The Sugar Addict's Total Recovery Program.
You might, by the way, remember a book that was written a long time ago called Sugar Blues as well. But this is a newer and update of those things. It's just really fascinating.
Yes, it is. And I should have taken a clue because I looked back in my journals years ago And I went off to sugar for a summer. At the end of that summer, I wrote, well, I can either eat sugar or I can have a life. But somewhere deep down, I guess I didn't fully understand or believe that that was true. You know, it's so easy to rationalize those things away. But when I read the Sugar Addicts Total Recovery Program, something really resonated.
Listeners might want to know the writer of that book, the author. Do you remember the name?
DeMasons is her last name.
DeMaison. DeMaison. D-E-S-M-A-I-S-O-N-S. DeMaison,
Yeah.
which means the houses in French.
Ah, okay, that makes more sense. So she has a PhD in food addictions, which is really quite interesting. But in one of the testimonials from her book, it said that because they followed this program of getting off of all refined sugar and all refined flour, they were able to become who they were really intended to be. And that struck me because it just, something said, yes, I can, you know I'm battling something and I really want to be who I was intended to be. So almost 3 years ago now.
Boy, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I went off refined sugar and white flour, and it has made an enormous difference in my life. I've since then generated many whole wheat recipes and recipes using natural sugars.
Do you know what natural sugars are? You
Yeah.
folks out there, do you know what we're talking about?
Do you want to elaborate
And we're
on
not
that?
talking about cane sugar refined.
Or
it can be cane sugar
evaporated,
evaporated,
or
which is
organic.
better. Honey is better for you. How about agave?
Yeah.
Do you know what agave is? Many people have never even heard of it before. Agave is a sugar from which they make tequila. That sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? But agave is such a good sugar that does not raise the, what do you call it, blood levels, or blood sugar levels.
As
It's
much.
especially good for people with diabetes. So this is what we buy a gallon of once a month to use
Well,
at our
not
home.
once a month,
Well,
probably.
it's but every month and a half at least. I buy it here locally.
Yeah, well, and all agaves are not created equal.
That's true. Yeah.
And some agaves have a higher fructose content, which is not really good for you. It's not much better than refined sugar.
Yeah, we would say that if you see on the label high fructose corn syrup, stay away from it. You don't want to ingest that, yet just about everything sweetened nowadays has high fructose corn syrup. It's like poison.
Well, it's true.
By the way, I don't want to come across as being healthier than thou, like holier than thou, you know. But it's just that there's so many bad things the Americans are taking in their bodies nowadays that it's making us all sick. Why is America so sick compared to the rest of the world? Other parts of the world won't even allow certain things that we take into our bodies in America. Like at Walmart, there's things at Walmart that are sold in America only. They can't be sold in other countries because they're not allowed. So you see, we are not being protected by the FDA. As a matter of fact, I'd say that they're corrupt. I hate to say that. I asked as we walked in here, what can we not say? They didn't say. They just say we can't swear here. But I'm just saying FDA has a lot of corrupt things. That sugar that they push on you. What is that called?
Oh, that's the aspartame?
Aspartame. How they got that passed? I mean, it turns into your body, and when it's inside your body, it turns into like formaldehyde. You know what they do for corpses when people die? They put formaldehyde in. So isn't that ridiculous?
Interesting. When we went off of white flour and white sugar, you can't buy a lot of packaged foods because you just hardly anything in the store doesn't have sugar in it. And if you read the labels, you'd just be shocked. I mean, peanut butter, toothpaste, it's just horrible. So we ended up making almost everything we eat from scratch. And a lot of people think this is extremely time-consuming, but it really isn't. It just has to be a priority. So for breakfast, for instance, it takes us, less than 5 minutes. We whip up our green smoothie and have our whole wheat homemade.
It's called a green smoothie, but we also put berries in it, so it turns a little bit purple.
It's more, ours are more. Ours doesn't look like swamp water. It looks like a purple smoothie.
It's really good for you.
Yeah. And, we put in a couple of handfuls of spinach, fresh banana, and about a half a cup of mixed frozen berries, and it's delicious. And
it's so good for you.
The interesting thing is we've seen such great improvements in our health. You know.
See, I have to say that for a long time, I was on many different medications, one of them being the heavy stuff, methotrexate for arthritis. I weaned myself off all those once we started eating right. People just don't have to be on medications if they're eating right. The body takes care of itself when you take care of the body.
Right. It can certainly make huge improvements. And, you know, and Pat sells the Kiani supplement, which is really wonderful.
Anytime you have put those antioxidants in your body, you're doing some good for it. For that matter, I suppose we should go to what do they call those things? Advertisement? Is that what they're called? Take it away. Go ahead and give your advertisement here.
When you think about an auto body shop, what services come to mind? Collision repair? Ding removal? Painting and detailing? How about headlight repair, power window repair, and carpet cleaning? Casey's Bend and Mend in Provo will take those unwanted bends out of your vehicle and mend it back to great shape. For 15 years, Casey's Bend and Mend owner, Kevin Stubbs, has been using his artistry to get you back on the road looking good. Personable and approachable, Kevin will provide a free estimate and offers discounts to students and self-pay clients, in addition to working with all the insurance companies. Trust your vehicle to a craftsman, someone who will give you personal service and care. Casey's Bend and Mend, located at 85 East, 600 South in Provo. Give Kevin at Casey's Bend and Mend a call at 801-374-0930. You bend 'em, we mend 'em.
Hi, I'm Roger Strong. I'm here to tell you about Tidbits of Utah County. No death, divorce, devastation, or destruction, just good news for good people. You'll find us everywhere in Utah Valley, in doctors' offices, restaurants, mechanic shops, anywhere that people wait. We have over 35 features of fun, family-friendly entertainment. To find a paper or to advertise, call Roger at 801-616-6288. Again, that's Roger at 801-616-6288. We're Tidbits of Utah County, the happy paper for Happy Valley.
The India Palace offers a unique dining experience located at 98 West Center Street in Provo. We offer the only lunch special in Utah County. It's all you can eat for $9.95, and it offers over 20 items, all of which are homemade and of the freshest ingredients. The lunch buffet offers different items every day. We have dairy and gluten-free foods and cater to vegetarians and vegans. We also have professional pricing for catering. You can call for takeout or make reservations. You can do birthday parties or other special occasions. You can check out our menu online at indiapalaceut.com. That's indiapalaceut.com. Find us on Facebook at India Palace, Provo, Utah. Now call Amric for your next meal at 801-373-7200. That's 801-373-7200.
Are you an athlete looking for a natural boost to your workout? Have you studied up on the benefits of nitric oxide production to your performance? Then you'll want to try Kiani's Nitro Extreme. Nitro Extreme promotes cardiovascular health and improved blood flow, supports muscle contraction and relaxation, as well as nerve transmission. I use Nitro Extreme right before I lift weights, and I've never been stronger in my entire life. If you don't try Nitro Extreme, you'll never know what you're missing. Call 801-362-9552 to order yours today. That's 801-362-9552.
Okay, so we're back, and we really got sidetracked because I'm not usually with her. She's always been interviewed by Pat, but here I am with her, and I get on sidetracks. Just to conclude what we were talking about, sugar, the biggest problem of sugar in America right now, as far as I'm concerned, is people drinking pop all the time. Do you realize how bad that is? How many cups of sugar is in each bottle of pop?
There's like 16 tablespoons.
Yeah, it is really, really
Horrible.
bad. How many pounds of sugar they drink a year? I've heard it's just unbelievable. And that's the thing that causes so much disease in America. You see, sugar turns to acid, turns your body to acid. If you put whole grains and fruits, what do we call whole foods or raw foods, most times they are alkaline. If you have an alkaline environment in your body, cancer can't even grow.
Well, you know, grains are generally acid, but they have, when you eat a whole grain, you're getting the benefit of all the vitamins and natural minerals and trace things that are in a whole grain that you don't get in refined flour, which can really be damaging. But so we wanted to leave you on this part with a challenge, because it's really not that hard to start substituting whole grains in your diet. I mean, instead of getting the white flour pasta, you can get whole grain pasta right off the shelf in the grocery store now. You can get whole grain breads. I don't get brown bread, because that might just be white bread that's dyed brown. Seriously.
Yeah, just regular whole. They call it wheat bread. Yeah, wheat bread. It's not whole wheat bread, just wheat bread. It's just dyed.
Yeah, and so also be cautious of whole grain things, because read the label, because the first ingredient is probably just wheat flour. Unless it says whole wheat flour, it's not a whole grain product.
Yeah.
So, but that's a very simple way to start your transition, is just start substituting whole grains for refined flours.
And we haven't even talked about, we have to get on to other things, right? But we haven't even talked about preservatives in food, all the packaged foods. What do you call them? Processed foods. That is so bad. I mean, read the labels. If the label has more than 3 ingredients in it, it's just about pretty bad for you.
Yeah.
So we very rarely have anything that has more than 3 ingredients. What's the 3 ingredients we're talking about? Well, corn chips. They'll have just the corn, they'll have salt, they'll have the oil. You know, that's okay. You're not hurting yourself.
You can get organic corn chips.
Yeah, even.
Yeah, and you know, pesticides do matter. I mean, oh goodness, let's not get started on
Yeah,
that.
let's not get on the pesticides. Let's not talk about food additives, which are so bad, and preservatives and all that.
Before we end, I wanted to talk about another thing we can do to bring these priorities into our lives, and that's retraining our brain. And that is so important. So often we don't realize that we do have control. We can process things differently in our brain, and it makes an enormous difference.
You might want to see a book called...
Which book?
Well, Dr. Amen's book.
Oh, Dr. Amen has a really excellent book that's called Change Your Brain, Change Your Life.
Excellent reading.
Yes. There's many more we just don't have time to get into at
You
this
can Google it, and you'll see videos of him, and they're just fascinating, very fascinating, what he does with people's brains and how he can change people's
Oh, and there's
brains.
many other things that he doesn't even talk about that we can get into. And
Yes.
affirmations in the past have probably not been effective, but we've learned more about how to set affirmations to make them very effective and powerful in our lives.
So tell us about that.
Well, actually, I'm not sure we have enough time.
Okay.
But we do have a website, and I do want to issue a challenge to you. It's called the 12-month challenge.
With a 12, number 12.
Yeah, numeral 12. Don't go to the 12-week challenge, because that isn't there anymore. It's a 12-month challenge. And on that site, on the homepage, there's a download of a form called Desires of Your Heart. And this is so important.
It's free. Just go to
yeah.
it.
And it lists all the 6 areas that we've talked about. And there's spaces there to write down the desires of your heart in each area. And this is how we begin our change. Because this is the key to binding the faith and the purpose and the means of making the changes that you want to start, is by writing down what is it you want. Because so often we've neglected this area of our life, and we don't even think about what it is we want anymore because we've given up hope. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. So easily done.
So that's where you start, is with hope. And while you're at our homepage, take a look at, there's a couple other challenges there for you to take and to look over. And
Are those recipes there anymore?
no, they're not.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's
But-
made some wonderful recipes, and she's made videos of these recipes. Follow her videos, but they're not up right now.
No, but people
We'll get
can
them back up
email
again
us at the12monthchallenge.com. I'll be happy to send you information concerning the recipes and anything else that you might have heard that you're
Should we mention the
interested
other
in.
one? We also have resetyourhealthforgood.com, but nothing's there right now.
Well,
is that right?
there are a
Right.
few things, and that's probably where
Reset.
I'll post the
All right.
recipes.
Resetyourhealthforgood.com.
Yeah.
Well, finishing off what you have here now, dear.
Okay, well, so remember to replace your whole grains with, replace your whole grains. Replace your white flour with whole grains. And
Our grandkids even like it now.
Oh, they love
First
it.
they turn their nose up at something that looked different, but we get the whole grains that there's whole wheat it's called white. It's a winter wheat.
Soft winter white.
Soft winter.
Spring.
Yeah, soft spring wheat, and it's lighter colored. It's not as dark, so it doesn't.
has a very nice texture,
Yeah,
but
it's really, really good.
has the same amount of protein and fiber as the dark red winter wheat. So there's a tip for you.
Anyway, okay.
Well, we want you to know that we're
Well, we still have you forgot to mention about the groups there. I think you ought to really
that's
mention
right.
that.
One
So
of the other
important.
things that's so important in transitioning into change is to have an accountability partner. As you do these things, find someone who's like-minded that you can be accountable to each week, and then set a goal, just a tiny goal, just beyond your grasp. Maybe if it's a weight issue, you could set a goal to lose 0.2 of a pound 1 week. And then if you surpass that, you're great. If you certainly you can do that. I mean, set a goal. Setting a goal is like making a promise to yourself, and you don't want to break your promises to yourself. And with an accountability partner, you're so far more likely to achieve your goal as you report back to each other and cheer for each other as you complete your goals.
She started these groups back in Flagstaff, Arizona in the 90s, and has had a lot of success with them. And we were just recently going to reestablish them,
Relaunch. We were going to
that's
launch
it, relaunch them. But we had some difficulties doing that, considering some official things from the state that would cause a problem maybe. So we're still looking into that. Otherwise, she would have already taken off with these groups. So I hope that we can get this online. We want to have online groups as well as
Virtual.
Well, virtual groups as well as real groups. And we've even had people who are interested all the way from United Kingdom, England.
Right. Yeah.
So
go to the site, the www.the12monthchallenge.com, and take a look and read the step 2, which is a story called "And They Cheered from One Another," and you'll see the potential of having an accountability group and the promise of what it can do for you in your life. And if you'd like more information, there's ways of contacting us on the website. And we're just thrilled to be able to share this information with you. And we really hope that what we've shared today, even the little bit we've shared, will make a difference in your life.
So cut back on your pop if you're having that regularly. Some people buy it by the case. Oh my goodness. Just cut it way back. I know some people can't take it all the way off. I mean, they just got to have their pepper upper or something like that, but it just really, really needs to be reduced.
Yes. And we want you to know
that we are cheering for you. We do that all the time with the groups, and we have 35 seconds left yet there, so I just like to insert again, my wife, Sidney O'Reilly, and that's O'Reilly spelled just like the O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'Reilly on Fox News. You'll be seeing more about her, and I hope that we can get in front of you more often and that you can see what is available to make your life more enjoyable and have more joy in your life. So again, let's say, we're cheering for you.